that's changed in the last since Martin Luther King, since '54. I think the only thing that's really changed is the black woman. And what she
No, I
said
don't think
is
she's changed. I think she's become more visible.
I think she's changed because there was a time, let's say my mother, my aunts and things like that, they would say, okay, if that's the way you establish your manhood, I'm going to go for it. And my generation says, hey, no good.
Okay.
You must
Okay.
establish
I'll
a
agree
new
with-
base.
I'll agree with that.
And we are, as a group,
I'll agree.
demanding that a new base be established.
Yeah, but be careful as a woman and what you demand of a man.
I demand that he be a man.
But you can't
because
say,
the provision part.
Yeah, but you can't say you demand it. You have to suggest it.
Well, that's your ego that says that. No, I demand it. Now you deal with that.
All right.
So let's stop it right there. Let's stop it right there. Hold on. What's this? 47 seconds. Let me run it back to that part. Just to make sure we got it. Just run it back.
I think that the only thing that's changed in the last since Martin Luther King, since '54, I think the only thing that's really changed is the black woman. And what she
No, I don't
said
think
is
she's changed. I think she's become more visible.
So I should have stopped it right there the first time, but just dealing with that part. She's saying in 1973, she's saying the black woman has changed. James Baldwin is saying he believes that the black woman has become more visible. From my understanding and my research and information that I have, especially at that time, it seems like both the things that they are saying are true. Like there has been a change. The black woman has had a change, but the black woman has also during that time become a lot more visible. So in my opinion, I think they both have truthful points in that piece. What about you?
No, I agree. The only thing that, like I said, I would push back on is the same as what she pushed back on, because he said, I don't think she's changed. She's just become more visible.
Right.
I would disagree and agree with Nikki Giovanni. She has changed.
She has changed, and
but
she
has also become more visible.
Right.
So I agree with you. Yeah.
Right. And so now let's get into the change.
I think she's changed because there was a time, let's say my mother, my aunts and things like that, they would say, okay, if that's the way you establish your manhood, I'm going to go for it. And my generation says, hey, no good.
Okay.
You must establish a new base.
I'll agree with that.
And we are, as a group, demanding that a new base be established.
Yeah, but be careful as a woman and what you demand of a man.
I demand that he be a man.
But you can't
because
say,
the provision part.
Yeah, but you can't say you demand it. You have to suggest it.
Well, that's your ego that says that. No, I demand it. Now you deal with that.
All right. Okay.
So listening to that part, it's making me think about today. In October of 2022, it's making me think of today as a difference, and it may be, and I may not be all the way correct, but it seems like a different type of demand is happening today from the women, because she's saying she's demanding manhood, and as we go further, she's going to be talking about provisions and being able to take care of the family. And so it seems, from what we have from this clip, it seems like the demand is authentic manhood, or a type of manhood that can take care of the household, that can have some structure, and within this structure we can at least survive. But bring it to today, and it's not that demand. It's not the demand for the essentials in life. It's the demand for the luxuries in life. And manhood is attached to your ability to provide the luxuries and the ease of life. And this is not, and I'm not speaking in absolutes. I'm not saying this is 100% of some women, but when she's saying that, it just made me think about some of the demands that I hear, or the demands that we hear more often. The people who are the loudest with their demands are demanding the luxuries of life and the ease of life rather than the essentials of life. That's what that made me think about when especially making it relevant to today.
Yeah, I agree with that. The demands, what a man is, has shifted over time.
Yes.
Now a man is still responsible for provision,
right?
But the things he's provisioning or providing have shifted, and the increase in a woman's earning potential has also shifted the value of essential provisions.
Right.
So I get where she's saying we're going to demand that you be a man. And then from the standpoint of modern women, I get also the same thing of saying, well, this is what I feel like I need, so I'm going to demand it of my mate. And if you can't provide it, then I'm just not going to, you're not going to be my mate.
Yeah.
But I get what James Baldwin is saying as well. Be careful of what you demand of a
Right.
man.
Right.
Now, I think she went in the direction that a lot of modern women go nowadays. When a man tells a woman, be careful of what you demand, or be careful of what you speak or how you speak about a man, one of the first places they go is, well, that's your ego.
Right.
That's, that's your own
Right.
self-esteem or challenges or whatever. And so I would take it a step further. Sure, James Baldwin might have been talking about ego, but also built in that is, if you make demands of somebody, then they now have the ability to make demands of you. If
Right.
you choose to want to go down this road, then I have options and I have things that I can do that might not necessarily be beneficial for you in the long run.
But also the ego shot is not always the best way to get a resolution, a proper resolution, not just any resolution, but
Right.
a proper resolution. Because um saying that, okay, it's your ego that doesn't um accept the demand. And it's like, well, not necessarily my ego. It's more so of, do we still have the same level of respect that we used to have for each other?
Right.
That's what I'm getting from it. He's not saying, well, you demanding from me, it's a shot to my ego. Because in my opinion, for me, I as an individual don't have a problem with her, what she's saying as far as the actual demand, because the way I'm wired as a man, I'm supposed to program this stuff. I'm supposed to provide this stuff, excuse me. I'm gonna be the provider anyway.
Right.
And I know what my fathers and my OGs have taught me about being a man. So her demand, Nikki Giovanni's demand, I don't have any issues with, because it's about the essentials in life. I don't pay attention to the outrageous demands. I just, why? But but it's like, it's still back down to the ego versus respect thing. And the respect thing is, for one, is you don't have to demand the essentials, especially from a com a capable person. Because some of the thoughts that's in my mind is, okay, well, who is this person that you chose to be with? And why is it such a task to be able to get at least the essentials in life? And bringing it to today is where we have a lot of people on both sides, men and women, who choose people for particular reasons, and not for, we're not choosing who we need, we're choosing who we want. And because we're choosing who we want, we're getting undesirable results.
Well, and see what I was saying was essentially transporting her making the statements about demands into today's day and age. Because again, like you, I don't have a problem with a woman demanding the basics.
Right, the essentials.
Um, but when I'm saying what James Baldwin could also be saying is, be careful of what you demand, because then there will be demands put on you. Then there might be the reciprocation
Yeah.
might not be what you want it to be. That's fast forwarding it to modern times, because as we said earlier, the demands have shifted
Drastically.
nowadays. You have women demanding $100,000 a year from men in their early to mid 20s.
The
And they're
exchange.
demanding so much more from older men. Now you have women making demands that you will take me on a week-long trip after we've only been dating for 3 weeks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the demands have shifted. So now those demands have shifted. The men that are able to meet those demands now have demands of their own.
Yes. Yeah.
But are you willing to meet their demands?
Right. But it also, though, I think a lot of women today forget that those men, those specific men, that small amount of men in those positions have always had demands. Those men who were able to meet those criteria to be wealthy like that have always had those demands and have always had their demands met.
But that goes into the perspective, right? Like this viewpoint that there are an abundance of these people, and that's something that is spoken of from a certain reference point quite a bit in this conversation from Nikki Giovanni. This view of abundance, you know, when
Right.
like when he's talking about later on in the clip having to work, I have to smile to pay the rent, and she's saying the rent will get paid. You
No,
know,
it won't.
if you don't do these, so there's that mindset that things will always be taken care of.
Right. And well, and it goes like we were saying earlier, or we was talking before, the difference in the mindset between men and women. Yeah, to be taken care of if we take care of it.
Right. And that, so again, I'll say it right up front. I'm probably going to say it again. That's one of the things I love about this conversation is that it shows the difference in the perspectives and the
Mhm.
thinking of men and women.
Yep.
She's speaking very much from a place of this is what I want, this is what I feel like will happen, and if you just take care of me, everything else will be taken care of.
Right.
And he's speaking from the standpoint of, no, it has to make sense, as he says a few times.
Yeah.
We got to move in a way that is rational. Like, I respect what you're saying, I understand it, but that's not the way the
Yeah.
world works for me.
Right. Right. Because it doesn't work like that for men. Right. So all right, let's move forward.
I
go with
demand that you be a man, and I don't think that that's asking too much. Because if I wanted a provision, I would get a camper. You know what I mean? I would get a camper that provides things. You know what I mean? You get an army surplus kit that provides things. I need a man, and black men have always been offered to provisions. People are either going to eat or starve to death. The men of Biafra, the people were starving to death. They were still the men. Had to be that way. Through that horrendous kind of war, but it had to be that way because sometimes you are not able to feed your family. Sometimes you are not able to clothe your family. Do you then also deprive them of your manhood and of the input that a man has? Who teaches my son how to pee?
Yeah, but
you see?
Yeah, but you're talking.
Stop right there.
I agree.
Because I want to say, and this again, this is not a bearing on the conversation then. This is again bringing what she just said forward, right? She said, even if you can't provide provision, there are other things that you can bring to the table as a man. Why are you depriving my family of a man? Who's going to teach my son how to pee? She's going into all these other things that men bring to the table. And this is where I'm saying again, in today's day and age, those things have no value.
Yeah, that's not the demand. That's not the modern demand. That's not right. And like you say, nowadays we've literally degenerated to where we're seeing each other's as commerce and sex. Who got the best sex? Who got the most money? Who can give me this thrill of being grander than I am, or being rich, or being wealthy, or being a celebrity, or famous, or whatever? Who can give me that feeling, that rush? And if you can't give me that feeling, that rush, then you're not a man. See, that's totally different from what they're talking about.
Right. Because nowadays it doesn't matter. You could be the best father in the world and the best husband in the world.
Yeah.
If you're unemployed and broke, there's a large segment of society that's going to devalue everything else you bring to the
Right.
table as a man.
Right. Well, that's one thing I like about the conversation is we're at a time where and she don't I don't think she represent the mindset of a lot of women in that time either.
Mm-hmm.
She's different because she's around a group of people who think, move, talk, walk different. So she's different, but she represents a mindset of I get I at least get that we need each other to make this home happen.
Mm-hmm.
We need each other to survive. We need each other to be able to start to thrive. Just basic, we need each other. We need to be
Mm-hmm.
together. We need to be at a competent level to provide for our family. Rather
Mm-hmm.
than, because like you say nowadays, we can have a guy who has all the qualities he needs to be a great husband, a great father, but let's just say he earns $25,000, he earned $30,000. And that's just how much he gonna earn for a while until he can up his skill sets. He not gonna get that same respect.
Mm-hmm.
He not gonna get that same respect unless he finds a woman who is on the same page as him. And good luck with that.
Right. I was gonna say, and that's always the case. The challenge is it's a lot easier. The because the demands are where they are, it's so much easier to find somebody on your wavelength when your wavelength includes a sizable income.
Yes.
So the type of manhood, and this is, I bring this up because every so often this clip resurfaces and
Mm-hmm.
there's this
Mm-hmm.
grand discussion around it, and everybody talks about how wonderful the points she's making are, and I agree they are, but nobody's referencing modern what's happening now.
Right.
And they're making a lot of them are making the connection that the type of man that she's describing and demanding is the same type of man that is being described and demanded
And
by the majority of women today, and
that's
that's
not
not the
true.
case.
Because really listening to what she's asking for. They're not listening to that. Because once again, like we said earlier, the modern demands are not the essentials. The modern demands are the luxuries. Now, once again, that's not 100% of the women. There are women who are demanding the essentials, but
Right.
for the most part, the louder ones, the most prominent message and the most prominent voices that we are hearing is luxuries, 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 luxuries. And forget the essentials, forget the building blocks that it takes to build our community. Forget that. I want to go past that. Like I'm watching a video earlier. And the lady had a long, ridiculous list of things that she wanted. If you was under the age of 30, you need to be over 6 feet. If you were over the age of 30, I mean, excuse me, if you're under the age of 40, you need to be over 6 feet. If you were over the age of 40, you could be at least 5'9". But you had to make at least $300,000, and you had to have a beard. You had to be a ninja. You had to be able to, blow out candles with just by closing your eyes. Like she had a real ridiculous list. And the lady, the host that she was on the show with, called her out. And it was two women. She called her out for the ridiculousness of the list because the list did not. And we've heard these over and over and over from the countless shows that we see. And it was the same thing, this superficial list. Nothing about it is realistic. Nothing about it goes back to the basic building blocks of what it takes for a community, a nation of people to 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 just exist, period. So it's like, for me, we got to stop talking about what we want to do or the ideals and stuff, and really be honest with ourselves about where we are and where we've degenerated, and make sure that we are working to fix these things. Because we can talk about these ideas and things the way we want to be, but if we're not actually putting in the actual work to make it happen, we just we fooling ourselves. It's not gonna happen, and we won't have. You can't build anything on a messed up foundation. We keep saying.